بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. فما بعد, my brothers and sisters, I want to ask you one question. What do you believe as Muslims? What do you believe as Muslims? Why is belief important? Why must we be clear about what we believe? And to believe that voluntarily, consciously, and totally, without doubts. And then to act on that belief. We must do that because that is the way we enter Islam and remain in Islam. To become Muslim, something has to change in our hearts. And that something is what we believe in. We need to be convinced that that belief is correct. And then we need to accept that belief. And then we need to live by that belief. That is why there is no conversion by the sword or the stick or the computer mouse or anything. Conversion is that of the heart. And that happens only and only when somebody truly changes their belief. Whether it is somebody converting to Islam or Christianity or anything else, or somebody converting from one political party to another, at the end of the day, that conversion is an act of the heart. That is where it happens. And that always can only happen voluntarily. A person changes when they want to change. Nobody can force them. I'm saying that because this is the way we enter Islam. And this is what we need to do to remain in Islam. To change whatever our belief is in our hearts to what Islam considers to be the correct belief. Islam is not the name of a tribe or a nation or a race or a country. It is not about ethnicity or color. Islam is the name of a belief or a set of beliefs. Whoever believes in them and acts upon them is a Muslim. Islam, therefore, is the name of a practice. The practice of whatever Islam decrees and stands for. That is why it is critical to learn what those beliefs are, to think about them, to reflect on them, to genuinely accept them in our hearts, and then to make those beliefs the sole criteria for all our decision making and action going forward. Because the one who practices Islam is a Muslim, not just someone who knows about Islam. That, incidentally, is the difference between an Islamic scholar and a Muslim scholar. Both know about Islam. One practices it, the other one just knows. Islam resides in the heart and must be visible in all that we say and do. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Hujurat, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. Allah gave a certificate, a stamp of authenticity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, only those people, only those are the believers. Only those people are the believers who believed in Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and afterwards do not doubt, but strive with their wealth and their lives for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those, indeed, they are the truthful. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. Islam is the name of action. For action to be accepted, it must begin with the correct intention and must remain on that intention until the end. So what do we believe? We believe آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وقدره خيره وشره من الله تعالى وبعث بعد الموت. In Arabic, 7 articles of faith we call these. I believe in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers and the last day, the day of judgment. And I believe in destiny, that both the good and the evil of it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I believe in resurrection after death. 7. These 7, we call them the 7 articles of belief, of faith. Let me begin with making a statement which is a Alhamdulillah, which is a foundational statement, and that is taken from the opening ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, and then He described who are those, الَّذِينَ وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is the book in which there is no doubt, and it is a book of guidance for people who are muttaqoon, people who are concerned about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who fear the displeasure of Allah. Taqwa is not fear of Allah, it is fear of displeasing the one we love the most. So fear of displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The people with that, and may Allah make us among them, are muttaqoon. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, these are the people who believe in al-ghaib. What is the al-ghaib? Al-ghaib is often translated as the unseen. But the unseen this can't be al-ghaib, because what is unseen today can become seen tomorrow. What was unseen yesterday is no longer unseen today. For example, take the ayat of the Quran on embryology. I'm just taking one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the whole process of the development of the human fetus in great detail in the Quran. Very concise but detailed, and in absolute correct order. Now these ayat were revealed in the 7th century. But it's only when the diagnostic instruments were invented that this process could actually be visible to people who wanted to see it. And that was in the late 19th or 20th centuries. So for almost 1300 years, this was unseen. But is that al-ghaib? It's not al-ghaib. Similarly, today we have things that we don't see, but they are not ghaib. Even as we live, there are many things we don't see. For example, you don't see the process by which this picture and sound of mine is converted into a form that can be transmitted across thousands of miles across the world, and somebody sitting in Beijing or somebody sitting in Hong Kong or something is watching or can watch this video. And if I am doing live streaming, this is not live stream, but if I were doing live streaming, they would actually see me live. But we do not see that whole process, how that happens. Is that al-ghaib? It's not al-ghaib. So al-ghaib, translating it as unseen, is wrong. Al-ghaib is the unperceivable, not even the unperceived. It is the unperceivable. It is something which is not only not perceivable in any shape or form now, but it can never become perceivable in any shape or form as long as this earth is there and as long as human beings remain on this earth. That is al-ghaib. So al-ghaib is, for example, the akhirah, the hereafter, what happens in the alam al-barzakh, what happens in our graves, what will happen on the day of judgment, and so on and so forth. And also all the things of different kinds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, or Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us as a result of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired him to tell us. So please understand this, we believe in al-ghaib. Now, why is this important? Why am I saying this to you? Because there will be some things in this lecture on Aqidah, on our fundamental beliefs, that may lead you to ask a question of saying, but why is that? Or how is that? Because we believe in al-ghaib, we also believe that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, He is speaking from His superior knowledge. There is not even a comparison between His knowledge and our knowledge. And therefore, we believe in whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us as He told us, without asking why and how, because we are not capable of understanding why and how. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, said, خلق السماوات والأرض في ستة الأيام ثم استوى على العرش. Allah said Allah has created the heavens and the earth in 6 periods, in 6 days, and then He made istawa on His arsh, on His throne. Now, if you ask why is that, or if you ask how is that, what is the nature of this istawa, nobody can answer this question. And so therefore, when we talk about the Aqidah, we do not ask these two questions. We don't ask why, we don't ask how. Now you might say, well, isn't this blind belief? It is not blind belief. It is belief with understanding who Allah is and with understanding who we are. So it is belief that comes with humility about who we are, and with the glory and majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts, because we know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Final point, we believe in the 7 things, the 7 articles of faith which I mentioned to you. It's important to understand that it is essential to believe in all of them simultaneously, totally, 100%, without any change in the degree of belief between one and the other. For example, you say, well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I believe in Allah 100%. But about angels, well, I'm not so sure. I don't want to believe in the angels, or I don't believe in the angels. If you say that, then as far as Islam is concerned, you are not in Islam. If you do not believe in the angels, you are not in Islam, because it is one of the articles of faith. It is essential to believe in all of them simultaneously and together and to the same level of intensity, which is 100%. I want to begin with the most important principle in Islam, which is the principle of justice. Justice is the cause, the result of which is peace. Many times we translate this and we say Islam means peace. Islam doesn't mean peace. Islam means submission. Submission to the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam does not mean peace. It means submission. The result of the submission is peace. Now, submission to what? Submission to justice, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-adil. He is the one who does adl, who is always just. So when we submit ourselves to the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the result is peace all around the world. And that is the root word for Islam, which is submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So peace and security and safety and freedom for everyone, that begins with submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the foundation of that submission is at-tawheed. Now, that begins with, we come to the first article of faith, which is belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jalla jalaluhu. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alone, unique, without partners or helpers or associates or family or sons or fathers or parents or progeny or equals. This is the basis of Tawheed. See how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduced Himself in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Allah did not say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. In the Arabic language, wahid also means one, ahad also means one, but wahid has a plural, ithnain, 2. Ahad has no plural. So Allah is not just one, Allah is unique, alone. No partners, no equals. He does not need anybody's help. He does not need anyone in any shape or form, in any way whatsoever. He never needed, He does not need, He will never need. This is our belief. That is the basis of Tawheed. It's the basis of justice. to give everyone what is their due, beginning with our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu. Worship is due only to Him, and to worship only Him and nothing else is the essence of Islam. And that is the doorway to enter Islam. It is the doorway to Jannah. That is why the kalima shahada begins with the nafi, begins with denial. La ilaha. There is no one worthy of worship. La ilaha. There is nobody worthy of worship. Illallah. Except Allah. It begins with worship. To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly as is His right, we must first deny and remove everything else from our hearts, from our lives, from our decisions, from our reasons, and replace them with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. This is the foundation and fundamental principle of Islam. We say, La ilaha illallah. There is no one worthy of worship except Allah. La yanfi' wa la yadur illallah. Nobody can harm and nobody can help and nobody can harm except Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no will, there is no ability, there is no talent, there is no power. There is no power except Allah, except with Allah. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything that exists, all that we know and all that we do not know. That He, Jalla Jalaluhu, is its creator, sustainer, protector, provider of all that they need, all that the creation needs. And to Him is the return of all humans and all jinn and whoever He decreed. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just create and leave, but that He constantly creates, He sustains, He protects, and is interested in His creation. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like anything in creation. Laysa kamithlihi shay'un wa huwa as-sami'ul basir. He Himself said, He is unlike anything in creation and He is the one who sees, hears all and sees all. We know and believe that we cannot compare Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to any created being or thing in any shape or form. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not resemble anything in creation and has none of the qualities, the strengths, the weaknesses, the temperament of anything in creation. For example, we do not believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day He rested because He was tired. No. Allah does not get tired. La ta'khudhuhu sinatu wa la nawm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not feel sleepy, Allah does not feel drowsy, Allah does not feel tired. None of our human and other traits apply to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also believe that nothing in creation resembles Allah in any shape, quality or form, though we may see reflections of some of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His creation, like His mercy, which every mother shows towards her children. But we do not give divine qualities to anyone in creation. We do not believe, for example, that any human being or can be simultaneously in many places, that any human being is aware of knowledge that is really only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on and so forth. So even though you might see mercy in the way a mother treats her children, that mercy is nothing like the mercy that belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is on His arsh, on His throne, and is aware of everyone, everything, every thought, every intention, every word, every action, even before the one who said it or did it was aware of it. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of every leaf that falls, the number of snowflakes and raindrops, the exact volume of the oceans, the weight of the mountains. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows every living being personally, individually. Every human being, every jinn, every angel, every animal, bird, reptile, amphibian, bacteria, virus, all that we know and all that we don't know. And all that exists on this planet and anywhere else in the universe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it. There is the beautiful dua of the Bedouin which describes this belief. We know this from the beautiful hadith of Sayyidina Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu. He reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once passed by a Bedouin who was making this following dua in his salah. He said, Ya man la tarahu al-uyun, wa la tukhalituhu az-zunun, wa la yasifuhu al-wasifun, wa la tughayyiruhu al-hawadith, wa la yakhsha ad-dawair, wa ya'lamu mathaqil al-jibal, wa makail al-bihar, wa 'adada qatri al-amtar, وعدد ورق الأشجار وعدد ما أظلم عليه الليل وأشرق عليه النهار ولا تواري منه سماء سماء ولا أرض أرضا ولا بحر ما في قعره ولا جبل ما في وعره اجعل خير عموري آخرة وخير عملي خواتمة وخير أيامي يوم ألقاك فيه. And this is in Tabrani, which means, O the one whom eyes cannot see, who cannot be imagined, who is beyond description, who is unaffected by happenings, who cannot be overwhelmed, who cannot be overwhelmed by the twists and turns of time, of happenings, who knows the weight of the mountains, the volume of the oceans, the number of falling raindrops, the number of leaves on the trees, and everything upon which night darkens and upon which the day brightens. No sky can hide another from him. No surface of the earth can hide another from him. No ocean can hide anything within its depths from him. And no mountain can conceal from him anything within its rocks. Make the last part of my life the best. Make the best of my deeds the last, and make my best day be the one in which I meet you. Amin Ya Rab. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam appointed someone to bring the Bedouin to him as soon as he completed his salah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had been given some gold from a certain mine, and when the Bedouin came before him, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him the gold and asked him, which tribe do you belong to? The man said that he was from the Banu Amir bin Sa'sa. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then asked him, do you know why I gave you this gold? The man said, because of the family ties between us, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the two tribes were related. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, he said, while family ties have a right, I gave you the gold because of the beautiful manner in which you praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam is the name of a connection. Islam is the name of a relationship. It's not the name of just a theory or a concept or a theology or dry words. It's something which touches the heart. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator not only of things but of all the fundamental laws that govern the creation, of all conditions, causes, effects of time. He is the owner of time, He is the creator of time, and that everything is in His control. He didn't just create and leave it, He is in total control and can do whatever He wants. We know and believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not subject to His own laws. And that is how He sometimes did things outside His laws to show His power and His ability. And that is how He created Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam. but he does not resemble any of them. He created Adam alayhi salam in the image of an adult human being. So when they say that he created Adam in his own image, that is true. He created Adam in his own, meaning in the image of Adam alayhi salam. He created Adam alayhi salam's wife Hawa alayhi salam from Adam alayhi salam's rib as a full-grown woman. He created Adam alayhi salam as an adult human being. Adam alayhi salam, for example, was never an infant or a toddler or a teenager. He was when he opened his eyes, he was a full-grown man. Similarly, Hawa alayhi salam, when she opened her eyes, she was a full-grown woman. And she came from the rib of Adam alayhi salam. So who was the father of Adam alayhi salam? Who was the mother of Adam alayhi salam? Who was the father and mother of Hawa alayhi salam? Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused Isa alayhi salam to be born without any man having touched his mother, Maryam alayhi salam, who was sinless. All of these are indicators of the power and glory and majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To join partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his worship, in his lordship, or his attributes takes one out of Islam. To ascribe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala human qualities, or to ascribe to humans or any creature, sun, moon, this, that, celestial bodies, whatnot, divine qualities that belong only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes one out of Islam. Our pledge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we make in every rakat or every salah, is Iyyaka na'budu wa Iyyaka nasta'in. O Allah, you alone we worship and you alone we ask for help. This is the essence of Islam. This ayat, Iyyaka na'budu wa Iyyaka nasta'in, describes the fundamental relationship between the abd and his Rabb, between the slave and his creator, between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, to summarize the fundamental principle of Tawheed, Tawheed is the belief in the singularity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu, which is not shared by anything in creation. Now, Tawheed itself is one, but for the sake of teaching, we divide it into three parts. We call this Tawheed al-Uluhiyat, Tawheed al-Rububiyat, and Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. The Tawheed al-Uluhiyat, the Tawheed of worship or belief, is to believe that there is no one worthy of worship but Allah, and to worship Allah and none other. Tawheed al-Rububiyat is to believe that there is nobody who can fulfill any need or help or harm or has any power or resources or treasures other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore to seek help only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not from anything in creation. To ask favors from the dead, for example, to ask them to make dua for you, and so on. All of these beliefs are major shirk. If you say that, if you do that, believing that to be true, then you have left Islam. Tawheedul Asma wa Sifat is to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unique in all his attributes and that he does not resemble anything in creation, and that nothing in creation resembles him in any way or form. All anthropomorphism, ascribing qualities, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qualities to creatures, and vice versa, ascribing creature qualities to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is major shirk and takes one out of Islam. For example, belief in Feng Shui and Vastu and astrology and tarot cards and divining arrows and all such things, this belief is major shirk and takes one out of Islam. Shirk is meaning joining partners. So shirk is to go contrary to any of the above and ascribe partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any aspects of Tawheed, whether Tawheed Uluhiyat or Rububiyat or Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. Shirk is the worst of all sins and takes one out of Islam. In Surah Al-Ankabut, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Surah Al-Luqman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna shirka la zulmun azim. Verily, Shirk is the worst of oppression. All oppression is bad, and shirk is the worst of it. To deny any of these things which I mentioned before, the uluhiyat of Allah, the rububiyat of Allah, and the uniqueness of the asma wa sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to deny that. To join partners is shirk. To deny that is kufr. It is denial. It is hiding the truth, and also takes one out of Islam. So atheism, agnosticism, vague belief in some universe which is in control, and universal consciousness, and so on, all of these are kufr, as they deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His role in our lives. To joke about or mock Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and or Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or any of the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is kufr if done deliberately and takes one out of Islam. If it is not done deliberately, then you must ask yourself why you're doing it anyway. Now, what is the way back? What is the route to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And that is tawbah wal istighfar, repentance. If we realize that we have committed any shirk or kufr, it is essential to repent and to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive all sins, including shirk and kufr, for anyone who repents. However, if one dies in a state of shirk or kufr, having denied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or having joined partners with Him and not having repented, then there is no forgiveness for that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this in the Quran very clearly in several places, where He said Allah will not forgive somebody who has committed shirk, but He may forgive everything else. So it's very important for us to understand this. Now, one question which is usually asked is tawassul or wasila recognized and permitted in Islam? Now, what is tawassul? Tawassul or wasila is to find a means to get close to someone powerful to whom we do not have access. Right? You want to go meet the king, you want to go meet the president, prime minister, whatnot. You can't just walk into their office or into their home. So you have to find somebody who can give you access. And that process is called wasila, and to do that action is called tawassul. Now, tawassul is recognized and permitted in Islam and is voluntary and discretionary, meaning you don't have to do it, but if you do it according to the prescribed conditions. Let me make this very clear. Islam permits everything within boundaries. If you exceed the boundary, if you break the boundary, then you are lost. So in Islam, everything is permitted within boundaries. So also wasila is permitted within boundaries. And we'll come to that in a minute. So, but as I mentioned, the first and foremost, is it essential? It is critical. I must make some wasila? No. I can do if I want to do that. But do I have direct access to Allah? Yes. I'm not giving you that access. I will tell you Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you that access. So let's see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about asking Him. Did He tell us to seek a wasila, or can we go directly to Him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us very clearly in Surah Al-Ghafir, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ أُدْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ أُدْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي سَيَدْخُلُونَ جَهَنَّمَ دَاخِرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, which means, and your Rabb said, invoke me, call me, ask me for anything, and I will respond to your invocation. I will respond to your dua. Make dua to me, I will give you. Ask me, I will give you. Verily, those who scorn my worship, they will surely enter Jahannam in humiliation. So the first principle to understand is that we have a direct connection with Allah, and we can ask Him directly for whatever we need without involving anyone else. Anyone doing that is acting according to the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, Ud'uni. And this is a amr. This is a hukum. Allah did not say, do it if you like. He said, no, do it. I will answer you. Astajib lakum. Interesting to also note and remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not set any limits. Allah did not say, ask me within these boundaries, ask me only for this and not for that. He didn't specify a time. He didn't say, ask me from this time to this time, ask me in the morning, night. No. He did not specify a place. He didn't say, ask me only in the masjid or in the Kaaba or in the haram. No. He didn't say, speak to me only in Arabic or English or Chinese or anything else. Allah did not set any limits. No limits of time or place or what to ask or languages to speak in or anything else. Now, this is what distinguishes Islam from all other religions. The direct connection of the Abd and the Rabb as declared by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Now, despite this, if we still want to make wasila, there are three permissible ways. Number one, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his beautiful names and attributes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ سَيُجْزَوْنَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Allah said, in all the beautiful names. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about 99 of them, some in the Quran, some in the Hadith. It is not restricted to 99. We do not know how many beautiful names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there are. He told us about 99 of them. So all the most beautiful names belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please understand this thing. We have not been given the authority to give names to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. We believe in whatever names He has, which He told us. And we believe that there are more that He did not tell us. That's it. But I can't say, Ya Allah, I'm going to call you by this name. No, this is haram. If you do that, this is something which is prohibited. So please don't get into that frame of mind. So the ayat says in Surah Al-Araf, and all the most beautiful names belong to Allah, so call on Him by those names and leave the company of those who deny, belie His names. They will be requited, they will be given the reward for what they used to do. So therefore, I want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for rizq, for sustenance. I say, Ya Razzaq dhul quwwatil mateen. Oh, my provider who provides by His power, give me rizq. If I am sick, I say, Ya Shafi, cure me. If I am repenting for sins, I say, Ya Ghaffar, Ya Tawwab, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, forgive me. So we call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His glorious names and attributes, and this is one form of wasila. We are giving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the wasila of His own names and attributes. Second one is to seek wasila by doing good deeds only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wabtaghu ilayhi alwasila wajahidu fi sabilihi la'allakum tuflihun. Allah said, oh, you believe, ittaqullah, do your duty for Allah and fear His displeasure. Do your duty. Have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then seek the means, the wasila, to approach Him and strive hard in His cause as much as you can so that you may be successful. So what is this means of approaching Him? Is our own actions, which is what the ayat is saying. Now some people change this and they say seek the means is different from strive in His path. Wallahu alam. The ayat is clear. There's no need to ascribe meanings and so on and so forth to it. So the one way of seeking wasila is to do actions only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to make sure that this is secret between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you. It's very important to keep our deeds free of our riya, of showing off, and have total sincerity, al-ikhlasun niyyah, in all that we say and do that only for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two very important things to do are to keep the deed secret between you and Allah and not to publicize it or even have a desire that it should be noticed and recognized, and not to seek any material reward for that deed, no money or fame. Don't seek it. I mean, if somebody comes and gives it to you, is different, but don't seek it. Don't ask for it. Don't seek it. Don't even have that desire in your heart. Do the deed secretly, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. and then keep it for the time when you need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something that you truly need. Right? If you keep it secret, who will reward you? They won't even know who did it. That's the best thing to do. And then at that time, make that deed your wasila. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you because of the deed that you did. This is a very important thing to do in terms of wasila with our own amal, our own actions. We have the story of the three men who were trapped in a cave and made dua using their secret deeds with Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moved a massive rock that was blocking the cave. Now this is from the stories of Al-Ghaib that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, people of the past. And as far as our aqidah is concerned, we believe the story to be true, and therefore this is a dalil of seeking wasila using our deeds. The third one is to ask someone alive who you consider to be more pious to make dua for you. Right? Somebody who is alive. The key thing here is alive. As evidence, we have the story of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, when there was a famine in Medina and in Jaziratul Arab, in the Arabian Peninsula. Abbas bin Abdul Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he asked Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib radiallahu anhu, the uncle of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to make dua for rain. And the tamheed of this, he began that by making dua himself, and he said, Ya Allah, when your messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was among us. Listen to the words. He said, Ya Allah, when your messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was among us, we used to ask him to make dua to you for rain. Your messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is no longer among us, so we are asking his uncle to make dua for us. Please accept his dua. And Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib radiallahu anhu made dua, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the dua. Now, interesting and very important thing here to note is that Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu and all of those present, including Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu, knew where the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, after he died, he was buried next to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam anyway, so he knew where the grave was. They didn't go to the grave and ask Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to give them rain, or to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make dua for rain. They could have done that, right? They could have done that. When Sayyidina Umar asked Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu to make dua, Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu anhu could have told him, look, why are you asking me? Let's go to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we'll ask him to make dua like we always did. They did not do that because they understood Islam directly from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if anyone teaches you and says you can go to a grave and ask this and that, show them the story. And tell them how come the Khalifa Rashid, not just any Sahabi. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, follow me and follow the Khulafa Rashida. So he is one of them, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. How come his action is different? How come he didn't go to the grave and ask? Find me any Sahabi who stood by the grave of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, give me this, give me that. Or Ya Rasulullah, make this dua for me, make that dua for me. If the Sahaba who learned the deen directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and nobody exceeds their position in Islam. If they did not do that, whoever else is telling you to do it is wrong. Don't follow them. I don't care who it is. Do not follow them. Stick on Tawheed, because if you go away from Tawheed, that path leads only to one place, which is Jahannam. And as I told you, I began by this whole tawassul thing by saying that you need not make any tawassul at all, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ud'uni astajib lakum. Ask me, I will give you. Khalas. If you make tawassul in the wrong way, to the wrong place, with the wrong person, the chances are that you are going to get caught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you will be questioned. And if He does not forgive you, then you are in trouble. But if you make no tawassul, believe me, on the day of judgment, Allah is not going to say, how is it, and why did you not make tawassul? Why did you not go to this grave or that grave and ask that person in the grave to make dua to me? Why did you come to me directly? Allah is not going to ask this question, because Allah is the one who said, Ud'uni astajib lakum. My brothers and sisters, in Islam, there is nothing that supersedes the text. When there is a text before you and there is somebody's opinion, the text supersedes the opinion. This is a fundamental belief of ours. And in this case, that text is the Quran itself. There is nothing superior than in textual evidence than the evidence of the Quran. May Allah guide us to do what is permissible, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to stay away from this. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also taught us exactly the same thing. And there is not a single hadith where he told anyone to go to his grave after he passed away and ask him for favors or ask him to make dua. On the contrary, he cursed those who make the graves of their pious places of worship and expressly warned the Sahaba against it. He said, do not make my grave a place of worship. Please understand, dua is worship. Ad-dua'u al-ibadah. Ad-dua'u mukhul ibadah. Dua is the brain of worship. It is worship. And so making dua at a grave, asking the person interred in it for favors, is major shirk. If you do that with the belief that this person can actually help you, then you have exited Islam. You can make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking Allah to forgive that person, but not ask that person for anything. Secondly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us very clearly that the people who are dead, they cannot hear the living. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَإِنَّكَ لَا تُسْمِعُ الْمَوْتَى وَلَا تُسْمِعُ صُمَّ الدُّعَاءِ إِذَا وَلَّوْا مُدْبِرِينَ. Allah said, so verily you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, cannot make the dead to hear, nor can you make the deaf to hear the call when they show their backs turning away. Right? Very, very clear ayah. Allah said, and he's saying this to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. He said, so verily you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, cannot make the dead to hear, nor can you make the deaf to hear the call when they show their backs turning away. In Surah Al-Fatir, the ayat is even more clear. وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَحْيَاءُ وَلَا الْأَمْوَاتِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُسْمِعُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُسْمِعٍ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ. Allah said, not alike are the living and the dead. Verily, Allah makes whomever He wills to hear, but you cannot make those who are in their graves to hear. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. It is not for me to do more than inform you. Nothing can be clearer than this. We cannot make those who are in their graves hear us when we speak to them. Allah even gave the example of somebody who is born deaf, who we are not audible to even if they are right in front of us. Now, there are two questions that are generally asked in this regard. First of all, the first question which is asked is, people say, what about the hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to the dead in the well after the battle of Badr? We know that all the mushrikeen who were killed were thrown into a dry well, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam addressed them and he said, did you find the promises of my Rabb coming true to you? And Sayyidina Yawar radiallahu anhu came there and he said, Ya Rasulullah, you are speaking to the dead, how can they hear you? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya Umar, they hear me better than you are hearing me. This is a Sahih hadith, this is true. Absolutely no doubt about that. So what's the answer? Because I just showed you the ayat of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you cannot make the dead to hear. So what's the answer? The answer is very simple. This is one of the miracles, one of the mu'jizat which was given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was specific to him. It happened only to him. It happened only that one time. It is not a dalil in deen to say that we can do the same thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam the mu'jizah of shaqqul qamar, of the splitting of the moon. By the will of Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made an ishara, he made a sign with his index finger, and the moon split, and later on it joined together. We know this from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Qamar, Allah mentioned this. So does it mean that I can go and point my finger and wave my finger at the moon and I can split it? Or you can do that? Musa alayhi salam, we know from the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, strike the water. And the water split. And didn't just split, it made 12 different pathways. Can you imagine this fantastic, absolutely amazing scene? The walls of water and the pathways between the water are dry. And the Bani Israel crossed. How many times did that happen? Did every time Musa alayhi salam struck any body of water with a stick, did the water split? No. The mu'jizat, the miracles that are given to the Anbiya, to the prophets, are to establish the authority of the Prophet by showing the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which goes contrary to whatever principle is there at the time. So here was a situation where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam a special power on a special day, at a special time, for a special reason. This is not a general rule that applies to me and you. Second question that is usually asked is, when we go to a cemetery or graveyard, we say, Assalamu alaikum ya ahlul qubur. So if they cannot hear us, why are we saying salam to them? But it would be very funny if they say, Wa alaikum assalam ya Abdul Ghafur. Right? Then you probably have to join them in the cemetery. You die of a heart attack, of shock. Assalamu alaikum is dua. May peace be upon you, ya ahlul qubur, O people who are in the graves. It is a dua. You are not speaking to them. It's not a conversation. You are not speaking to them. They are not hearing you. They are not responding to you. Right? You are just saying, may peace be upon you. May you be in security. May you be safe. So therefore, to believe that the dead can hear us and do something for us, either then or on the day of judgment, is against the Quran and Hadith. And if you believe that, then you have left Islam. Second article of faith is the belief in the Malaika, the angels. Now this is one of the parts of the belief in Al-Ghaib, the unperceivable. We believe that the Malaika are from another life form that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created from a form of luminous energy, some form of light that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. They have different roles, including that they praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They interact with human beings in ordinary life. For example, Jibreel alayhi salam brought wahi to Rasulullah and so on, and many other such incidents. We know that some of the angels have been given the responsibility of carrying on some natural phenomena. The angels differ from other creatures in their attitude as creatures of virtue. There is no vice in them. In contrast to devils and jinns, the angels have they have no free will. They do whatever they have been ordered to do. They also protect human beings. They record our deeds. And belief in angels, therefore, is one of the main beliefs of the articles of faith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Alhamdulillahi fatir samawati wal ardi ja'ilil malaikati rusulan uli ajnihatim masna wa thulatha wa ruba'a yazidu fil khalqi ma yasha' Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allah said, all praise and thanks be to Allah, the only originator, the only creator of the heavens and the earth, who made the angels messengers with wings, 2, 3, or 4. He increases in creation whatever He wills, and verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do all things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the angels, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. Allah said, O you who believe, keep yourselves safe ward off from yourselves and your families a fire, the fire of Jahannam, whose fuel is men and stones, is humans and stones, over which are appointed angels, stern and severe, who do not disobey the commands that they receive from Allah, but they do whatever they have been commanded. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِنَّا عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. In Surah Al-Infitar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, but verily, over you are appointed angels who are in charge of mankind to watch you. to watch you, to protect you. Kiraman Katibin, honorable recorders, writing down your deeds, and they know all that you do. Finally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the angel that all of us will meet one day. And he said, قُلْ يَتَوَفَّاكُمْ مَلَكُ الْمَوْتِ الَّذِي وُكِّلَ بِكُمْ ثُمَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ تُرْجَعُونَ. And say, the angel of death who is set over you will take your souls, and then you shall be brought back to your Rabb. Third belief, article of faith, is the belief in the divine books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluh. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent many books, out of which we know the names of the following, which is Zabur, Suhuf Ibrahim, Tawrat, Injil, and Quran. We believe in the Quran that it is the actual speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam in several ways. It is not a created thing, it is not a creature. It is the quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the kalam, the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. We believe in all of it as it was revealed. We do not try to explain or philosophize about parts of it that may not be clear to us. We do not deny or contradict even a single letter of it. To do so is to leave Islam. The Quran is recited in Salah and is the primary source of Islamic law. So the Quran, its explanation of the Quran is the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is the second source of Islamic law. We believe that the Quran is the last revelation and that no other revelation came after it. To claim anything to the contrary is to leave Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu mentioned the Quran, and he said, هُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ مِنْهُ آيَاتٌ مُحْكَمَاتٌ هُنَّ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ وَأُخَرُ مُتَشَابِهَاتٌ فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ زَيْغٌ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْهُ ابْتِغَاءَ الْفِتْنَةِ وابتغاء التَّأْوِيلِ وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ يَقُولُونَ آمَنَّا بِهِ كُلٌّ مِّنْ عِنْدِ رَبِّنَا وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. Allah said, and it is He, Jalla Jalaluhu, who has sent down to you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the book, the Quran. In it are ayat that are entirely clear, and these are the foundations of the book, ayat or ahkam, the commandments and so on. And there are others which are not entirely clear. For example, the huruf al-muqatta'at, alif lam mim, yasin, kaf ha ya ain sad, and so on. So as far as those in whose hearts there is a deviation from the truth, they follow that which is not entirely clear thereof, seeking al-fitna, all kinds of mischief and trials, and seeking for its hidden meanings. But none knows its hidden meanings except Allah. And those who are firmly grounded in knowledge, they say, we believe in it, the whole of it, the clear and the unclear. Ayat are from Allah, are from our Rabb. And none receive admonition except men of understanding, except people who have understanding. So therefore, we do not ask how and why. We believe whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us as He told us, because we know who Allah is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to preserve the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafizun. Allah said, verily it is we who have sent down the dhikr, which is the Quran, and surely we will guard it from corruption. This promise of of protection of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to its words in the Mus'haf and their meanings and explanations and practical demonstrations of how to follow them in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala invited us to reflect on the Quran al-Kareem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Allah said, do they not then consider the Quran carefully, had it been from other than Allah? Min indi ghayrillah. If it had been from anyone other than Allah, they would surely have found therein many contradictions. The fact that the Quran does not have contradictions is one of the proofs and evidence that the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Muhammad, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَخْفَالُهَا. Allah said, do they not then think deeply in the Quran, or are their hearts locked up from understanding it? Number 4, article of faith is belief in the messengers. We believe in all the messengers, all the Anbiya and all the Rusul, all the prophets and all the messengers of Allah who Allah named in the Quran and who Rasulullah ﷺ told us about. To deny that they were messengers is to leave Islam. We believe that all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messengers were protected from sin and forgiven any minor transgressions that they may have done. We believe that they are innocent, pure from all evil, and came to their people to guide them to the true path, which is Islam. All messengers preached only one faith, and that was and is Islam. The last and final messenger was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who came to confirm the message of all the previous messengers and to declare until the end of time that there is nobody worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that He, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is His last and final messenger. To say that anyone was a messenger or a prophet, a Rasul or a Nabi after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to leave Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this directly in the Quran, and He called Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam Khataman Nabiyyin. He said He is the final messenger and He is the seal of the prophets. Once the seal has been set, the letter is closed. We believe in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which means that we obey Him and emulate Him, His itaat and His ittiba. We love Him more than anyone else except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we obey and emulate Him because we believe that His way was the best way, since He was guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He came to purify us and to teach us the book of Allah and to show us how to live our lives in a way that will make us successful in this world and the next. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا كَانَ مُحَمَّدٌ أَبَا أَحَدٌ مِّن رِجَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ وَخَاتَمَ النَّبِيِّينَ. In Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah said, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not the father of any of the men among you, but he is the Rasul of Allah and he is the seal of the Anbiya, seal of the prophets. Now remember, every Rasul is a Nabi, but not every Nabi is a Rasul. And therefore Allah said, seal of the Anbiya, Khatamun Nabiyyin. He didn't say Khatamun Rasul, he's also the Khatamun Rasul, but Allah said Khatamun Nabiyyin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cut off from the bottom any thought that anybody can be a Nabi or a Rasul after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. About Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said many things. I don't have I'm trying to keep this concise, and therefore I will just recite for you a few ayat about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, for example, in Surah Al-Imran, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, indeed, Allah conferred a great favor on the believers when He sent among them a messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from among themselves, reciting unto them His ayat, the Quran, and purifying them from sins, and instructing them, and purifying their hearts internally and so on, purifying them internally and externally, and instructing them, teaching them the book Al-Quran and the hikmah, the wisdom, the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while before that they had been in manifest error. About Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. In Surah Al-Najm, Allah said, nor does He speak of His own desire or His own volition. It is only the wahi that is sent. That whatever He speaks is inspired to Him. It is wahi that has been sent to Him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not speak of His own desire. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah An-Nisa, مَنْ يُطِيعِ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهَ وَمَنْ تَوَلَّى فَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ عَلَيْهِمْ حَفِيظًا. Allah said, he who obeys the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has indeed obeyed Allah. He who obeyed the Messenger has obeyed Allah. Because the Messenger tells him what Allah said to him. So he who obeys the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has indeed obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he who turns away, then we have not sent you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as a watcher over them. And then Allah said, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, whatever my messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives you, take it, and whatever he forbids you from, stay away from it, abstain from it, and fear the anger of Allah. Verily, Allah is severe in punishment. Each of these ayat need explanations, but I don't have the time for that now. Inshallah, if Allah permits some other time. Then, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. What must we do with all this? We must follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and take his example as the best example for us. Allah said, indeed, in the messenger of Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have a good example to follow for the one who hopes in the meeting with Allah and the last day and remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a great deal. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. I'm reciting the durood before translating the ayat because this is the hukum from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah sent his salat and salam, his honors and blessings on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also his angels ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive him and bless him. O you who believe, send your salat, send your dua, your blessings, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless him, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you should greet and salute him with the Islamic salutation, which is Assalamu alaikum. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the one who does all this, for the one who follows Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that say to those who claim to love Allah to make my ittiba, to make ittiba of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to emulate him, not just obey him, emulate him out of love. And if you do that, what will happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most forgiving. Article number 5, belief in the day of judgment. We believe that one day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will end this earthly existence and that we will be called to him. At an individual level, this refers to our personal lifespans, and at a collective level, it refers to the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will end this world and we will be gathered before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be judged. We come to the 5th of the articles of faith, another one of the fundamental things that we are required to believe in order to be Muslims and to remain Muslims, and that is the belief in the day of judgment. This is perhaps one of the most important and one of the most frequently emphasized and mentioned things in the Quran al-Kareem. The last juz Amma, is full of mentions of the day of judgment. Surah al-Baqiyah and many other surahs in the Quran, all through the Quran, are full of mention of the day of judgment. So obviously it's a day which is so critically important that it is very important for us to know what that is, what does it mean, and to have this firm and complete and total belief that this day will come to us one day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this very clearly in Surah An-Naba. After mentioning many other things about the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ صَفًّا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the day that ar-ruh, and this is a name of Jibreel alayhi salam, is referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is referring to him as ar-ruh, or maybe another angel, which is min Allah ta'ala. And the angels will stand forth in rows upon rows, and none will be able to speak except him whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ar-Rahman, the most beneficent, allows to speak. And that person or individual or angel will speak what is right, what is correct. وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasizes that this is the day of truth. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَى رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. And the one who wishes may make a way towards his Rabb. This is the mention of the day of judgment. As I mentioned to you, there are many ayat. I obviously am not capable of, and it's not even part of this lecture for me to find and recite all of them. So we will leave it at this. What will happen to people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَالُوا يَا وَيْلَنَا مَنْ بَعَثَنَا مِنْ مَرْقَدِنَا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. We will be resurrected from our graves. The graves will throw out what is inside them. And the people will come out and they will say, woe to us, who has raised us up from our place of sleep? And it will be said to them, this is what Ar-Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most beneficent Allah, had promised, and that his messengers spoke the truth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to understand and to believe in the day of judgment, and to always keep that in our minds. The day when we will be called forth and we will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will answer for what we chose to do and what we chose not to do. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to humiliate us on that day, and to forgive us and to cover us with his mercy and grace, and like he covered us in this dunya, and to enter us into Jannah bi ghairi hisab, insha'Allah. Sixth article of faith is belief in destiny. In our belief in destiny in Islam is very distinct. We do not believe, for example, in the two extremes. We don't believe that there is no destiny, that you can do whatever you want, self-made man, self-made woman. All of this is neither factually correct nor theologically correct. So we don't believe in that. The second thing is, the other extreme, we don't believe also that we are majboor, mahaz, that we are completely without any choice, that we are like robots. We've been programmed and we can only do what we have been programmed to do. So if a thief is stealing, this is what was written for him, and therefore he is doing what was written for him, and what he is forced to do, compelled to do. If somebody is committing murder, that murder he was compelled to do. This is all against Islamic belief. We do not believe in all this. We believe that we have limited choice. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the destiny. This is the knowledge of Allah, the ilm of Allah. He knows the destiny of every person and has written it down in a book. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا كُلٌّ فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. Allah said, and there is no moving or living creature anywhere on the earth, but its provision is due from Allah. Allah is the one who provides it. And Allah knows its dwelling place and its deposit, where this person will die. And all of this is in a clear book, Allahul Mahfuz, the book of degree, the protected tablet, different translations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned this. Now we believe, therefore, that whatever happens to us, good or bad, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by his will. We believe that everything that Allah does is always for the good, even though we don't understand that when we see or experience it. So there is no bad in that sense, bad in the sense of how it comes to us. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, but he does not compel us to do anything. Allah is not forcing us. He showed us the way. وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. Allah said, we have shown you the two paths, the two valleys, right? قُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Say, your Rabb is haqq, he is the truth. Whoever wants to believe it, let him believe it. Whoever wants to deny it, let him deny it. So that freedom of choosing has been given. La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in religion. قد تبين الرشد من الغي. The two paths of rushd, of guidance and misguidance, al-ghay, has been made clear. So this is very, very important to understand, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not compel. He showed us the way. He taught us what is good and what is not. The same ayat which I recited in Surah Al-Baqarah, لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. Allah said the two paths, the path of guidance and the path of misguidance, have been very, very clearly demarcated. They have been showed, they have been made clear. The one who grasps, who chooses, who denies falsehood, right? The one who denies the taghut, the false idols, the false gods, and the false hopes and the false theories, the one who denies all of that and chooses the truth has grasped a handhold which will never break. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Sami'un Alim. He is the one who hears and knows everything. Let us grasp this handhold and know that this handhold will never break. We hold the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and remember the other end is held by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot go wrong if we do that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us. He doesn't compel us, but He showed us the right way, and He showed us what is right, what is wrong, and He taught us by His books and by through His messengers what is correct and what is not. The choice to follow is ours. We are free to choose, but let us understand that every choice has a price tag. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعد الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Evil, sins, disobedience has appeared on land and sea because of what the hands of men have earned, what people have done. All the evil and all the trials and tribulations, all the suffering that you see is the result of our own actions. This is, today it's so, anyone with any intelligence and any education can very clearly see that. The problems of the world are because of our own deeds. It is because of our chasing war, because of our trying to dominate other people and other cultures through power of arms. It is our trying to inflict and force our beliefs and our false beliefs and false ideas upon others. It is because of our economic system, the debt equity system, the interest-based system. It is because we have legalized and glorified our own evil desires. These are the reasons. This is the reason why. How come we ended up in a situation where we have a world where 8 men have more wealth than 50% of the rest of the world? Is it a resources problem or is it a distribution problem? If it's a distribution problem, is it a logistics problem or is it a compassion problem? We need to ask these questions. Islam is very, very clear about these things, right? There's no mystery and magic. This is the reality. And if people want to deny that, well, up to you. If you want to deny that and you want to blame God, up to you. Go ahead, blame. Nothing is going to change, because what is truth remains the truth. And Allah is saying this is because of your deeds, which means what? This is a very empowering statement. Allah is saying if you change your deeds, your future will change, your conditions will change. It's up to us. If we don't want to change that, if we want to continue to burn in the fire of our own creation, well, that's there for us, right? But for those who obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Man amila salihan min dhakarin aw unsa wa huwa mu'minun falanuhyiyannahu hayatan tayyibatan wa lanajziyannahum ajrahum bi ahsani ma kanu ya'malun. Allah said, whoever works righteousness, whoever does righteous deeds, whether male or female, while the person is a believer. Now this is where the importance of Aqidah also comes. It is not only the deed with the right belief. Let's say very clearly, if you are not a believer, then your deed will be rewarded in this world, but in the Akhirah you have nothing. So very, very clear to understand. That's the big lesson also for us about the importance of understanding what is Aqidah. So Allah says, whoever works righteousness, whoever does right things, whoever does righteous deeds, whether male or female, while this person, he or she is a true believer, verily to that person, we will give a beautiful life in this world, hayatan tayyiba, a life of respect and contentment and lawful provision and health and wealth and all kinds of good things. The biggest wealth is contentment. And we shall pay them certainly a reward in proportion to the best of what they used to do. Imagine, this is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, the meaning of this ayat is that on the day of judgment, when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we may have done thousands of good deeds, inshallah, but there is one which was very, very superior by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will reward us for all of those thousands in accordance with the reward for that one deed. So even the ones which are substandard will get rewarded equal to the highest standard. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah for this, inshallah. So there is a payoff for living a virtuous, righteous life, and there is a cost for the opposite. Seventh and last article of faith is the belief in resurrection, of coming back to life after death. We know and believe that after we die, we will be resurrected and we will be called to account for what we chose, what we chose to believe and to do. On that day, everyone will be given their full reward. And the life of this world is a preparation for that day. You know, it's a very one of the beautiful hadiths of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People would come and ask him, when is the day of judgment? And he would always say, what have you prepared for it? Right? One time, a group of people came to him. And among those group, in that group was a little boy. So they asked him, they said, Ya Rasulullah, when is the day of judgment? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked at the little boy and he said that if Allah gives him a long life, then all of you would have reached the day of judgment before he dies. So he's referring to our own personal death. That when we die, this is our day of judgment. So don't worry about the day of judgment, whenever that is, that Allah knows. But my day of judgment will be the day when I meet Malakul Maut. My day of judgment will be the day when I die. So let me prepare for this day. That this day should be the most beautiful day, and that's going to happen only if all my life is most beautiful. There is no way of dying on obedience if we are living with disobedience. Because death will come suddenly, without announcing. So we will die in the state in which we were living. And we will be resurrected in the state in which we died. So let us be very, very careful about that. So we believe that we will be resurrected, and on that day we will be given the full reward, which means the reward or punishment for what we used to do. Allah said, Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, wa innama tuwaffawna ujurakum yawma al-qiyamah. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. Allah said, everyone will taste death. And only on the day of resurrection will you be paid your wages in full. And whoever is removed away from the fire and admitted to Jannah, indeed that person is successful. The life of this world is only the enjoyment of deception, or it's a deceiving thing. So very important to understand here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning four things. One, that we will all taste death. And secondly, that only on the day of judgment will we be fully rewarded. May Allah protect us from punishment. And third one is Allah is setting the standard, the criterion of success. That is to be saved from the fire and enter into Jahannam. And the fourth one is a reminder that this world and all it contains, all the conditions and whatnot, are merely deception. These are all just for show. And so therefore Allah is saying, do not get deceived. My brothers and sisters, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to truly believe in the truth of Islam in all its articles of faith, and to live our lives according to that faith with the intention of only and only pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to remain in a state of obedience to Him, Jalla Jalaluhu, on the path of His Messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to which He called us, and to call us to Himself, Jalla Jalaluhu, in that state when we are living obedient to Him, Jalla Jalaluhu, and on the path on the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from humiliation that comes from disobeying Him, Jalla Jalaluhu. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this lecture a series of guidance, means of guidance for all of us who are listening to it and who will listen to it, and to save me from any mistakes that I may have made in this. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me, and I ask you to make dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me. وصلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.